Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Hub in a Hybrid World webinar focused on the financial services sector. You have got a couple of minutes before we start. We'll let everybody join, so make yourselves comfy, and I'll be back with you in just a couple of moments. Thanks to those people that are joining. Just a quick 1 minute warning. We'll just let a few others join before we start. So still time to just grab a quick drink. We'll be starting in approximately 30 seconds. Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and good evening in my situation. It's quite dark here now, but welcome to our third in a series of the Hub in a Hybrid World videos. Webinars. It's been a long day. Thank you for joining. Once again, as always, we want to make this as interactive as possible. We don't want it to be the phrase that I use is webbing blah. We don't want it to be blah. We want it to be interactive as possible. So please put your questions into the chat box. We'd love to hear from you, even if it's just to say hi and share with us who's joined us. So we'd love to hear from you. Throughout this webinar, I might go on mute and still be talking. So my colleagues, just so you know, are waiting to tell me in the wings if I'm talking whilst on mute. So please bear with me on that one. Right, first of all, let's open today's webinar with just a sizzle reel, if you like, a 2-minute video that talks to applications for Surface Hub specifically in the financial services sector. Now, we want you to use this with as many of your clients as possible. So we'll be sending you the link tomorrow with your follow-up email in the recording. Again, please use this, please share amongst all your colleagues. We want this to go as far and wide as possible.
Finance teams, banking and insurance organisations have all adapted to a hybrid way of working with colleagues dispersed across branches, working from home or attending customer locations. The Microsoft Surface Hub 2S revolutionises collaboration. Together with Microsoft Teams and native applications such as Power BI, multiple pieces of content from both in-room and remote participants can be shared and combined, creating new insights and actions. The 85-inch canvas on the Surface Hub 2S delivers a stage ready to compare and contrast information, side by side, even incorporating live data from the internet. These companies need a solution that brings teams together, pull and analyse key financial data to contribute to reports and presentations, ultimately creating dialogue between multiple stakeholders. For ultimate mobility, the addition of a roam stand from Steelcase and a battery from APC delivers complete, cable-free workspace flexibility. A recently introduced feature, Proximity Join, connects the participant to the meeting at the touch of a button using Bluetooth beaconing functionality. The Surface Hub 2S in a hybrid financial world delivers secure access
Sorry guys, I seem to have shared the wrong content there for you. But needless to say, you got the most of the video. The rest of it will be sent in the link after this. So apologies for that. It's the bonus that I have of driving the live event whilst trying to think about what's next. So hopefully you'll see it moving forward. Okay, so great news is I have with me a friend from Microsoft, Laura Galley, who's going to tell you more about what's happening in Microsoft Canada and much more detail in how Microsoft can actually help you moving forward and help you selling Surface Hub in this hybrid world. Laura, over to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so hello everyone, I'm Laura. I am the Surface Portfolio Product Marketing Manager with Microsoft Canada. So thank you for joining us for the third in our series of 4 webinars that are highlighting Hub in today's hybrid world. So in the first 2, if you joined, we covered education and manufacturing. And so today we're going to be looking at the financial sector. So we know that covers many verticals, all that come with their own variety of challenges. Before COVID, there were competing pressures across the industry, this need to change and having to be balanced with strict operational requirements, especially that of security. And so this new hybrid world that COVID has created, it's massively stretched the industry, forcing these unprecedented levels of change. That's really highlighted this need to be strategically positioned as a collaborative tool in an industry's digital workflow and positioning that as mission critical. In this new workplace that's highly mobile, it's highly flexible, with FinServ professionals working on a spectrum from fully mobile to fully on-site and really everything in between. This changing workplace has requirements for IT that's able to empower employees in this hybrid working world while also securely managing their devices. And so today we're going to be looking at the Microsoft Surface Hub 2S and how that can help contribute to this change, delivering a unique and a secure solution capability. So do remember that Microsoft continues to support our partners with the right information to enable you to engage with your customers. And so focusing on Hub and today specifically highlighting the Hub 2S in financial environments, together with Collab Tech and their knowledge, unique perspectives, we're going to be sharing stories from successful deployments all around the world. And so before I pass it back to Jane, I do want to call out our 3 amazing Surface authorized distributors in Canada, so Ingram, Synix, and Tech Data. I'll also mention that we have Surface and Hub specialists at all of our distributors. So as always, your first point of contact is your account manager, and then they can connect you with the right people as needed. In addition to this session, there's more information to help you build opportunity in the recently published Surface Hub ebook and the supporting infographic, both of which will be shared with you after this webinar. And so now I'm going to pass it back to Jane to tell us what's next.
Awesome, thank you, Laura. That's amazing. And just to reinforce that message, you know, Collab Tech are working with Microsoft on Surface Hub and this hybrid hub in a hybrid world because we're an organisation, we don't sell hardware and we support the channel. So we want to support you as the channel partners. You've got the expertise with the customers, and we've built up an awful lot of expertise over the last 5 years of delivering Surface Hub into and with the channel partners. So engage us, let us help you to deliver more and more Surface Hubs into these environments. So today we are looking at Surface Hub in this financial sector that we talked about here. Financial services, what does that actually mean? Well, it's one of the oldest sectors, of course, and I've got up there traditional and secure, and that's what we want for those organisations that are looking after our money. But these work with commercial sector, and they also work in retail sector, so consumers like ourselves, and they get a large percentage of their revenues from things like mortgages and loans. So we're looking specifically at organisations like banks, like building societies, like investment wealth management companies, and even insurance companies, because they're part of this financial sector as well. Now, what I will say is the health of any country's financial sector is a really good barometer for the health of that whole economy for that country. So a super important sector here. Now, super important in what it contributes to that economy as well. $26 trillion globally is what these organisations add to the economy, and with a 6% annual growth rate, which is still increasing, absolutely incredible percentage there. So, and you understand it's such an important sector, and they rely on communications and collaboration. Now, put it another way, it's actually 7% of the whole world's GDP, or gross domestic product, but only 4% of the workforce work in here. So they are highly skilled, highly trained, and probably highly paid as well. So we need to ensure that the talent stays in this sector and we attract the right talent, because we have the right technology in that sector as well. So just to recap here, it is one of our most traditionally secure environments, steeped in history, steeped in processes, regulations, with very robust compliance issues and audit trails. So we know that because we've worked with them for such a long time. Of course, that also then means that they also have lots of compliance issues, regulations that they have to adhere to. But also, I talked about those highly skilled people within this sector. They have to have training environments that are secure, so that when they are being trained to the latest methods to be compliant, that they're in an environment that is too secure as well. So where are we? Well, let's just take a jump back and let's have a look at where we were pre-COVID. So if we imagine what life was like when we were allowed out, we were allowed to walk into any shop, it was all open, there was no face masks. You know, from a high level, we had a look at this set of organisations that were probably slow to change. It says they're change averse, but they were really unwilling to change, a lot of them. But there was a couple of things happened to really trigger some changes. The firstly was the 2007 financial crisis. That forced a lot of change. It forced a lot of new regulations, a lot of new compliance. And then came the rise of fintech, or the rise of those technology companies, the new ones, the startups that relied on technology, not just technology to deliver products, but technology to reach new customers, the young customers. They didn't have those legacy investments in bricks and mortar, so they didn't have a real history in having to deliver a certain level of GP. So these fintech organisations actually really forced the traditional organisations to look at themselves differently. So these security and compliance requirements pre-COVID still forced the establishment to work in a particular way. And actually, I've got a really great personal example of somebody I know who works in the banking sector. Actually, when COVID happened, and right now in the UK, we're in complete lockdown, and we, the only way we can go into work is with special dispensation if you have to work from home, and everything's shut down. So the only shops open are food shops. So with that, their organisation, hate to use the word pivoted, but it's pretty apt in this circumstance. Their bank pivoted to allow their workers to work from home. And he actually states that actually without that huge catalyst, he doesn't believe that bank would have been ever taken the risk. But what they have had to do is enable their knowledge workers to work in a remote environment here. So that's pre-COVID. Where are we now? Well, we are in a COVID world. So this change has happened, it's been forced, and we're working with it. That change has brought in new dynamics with technology, new workplaces. So we're working remotely, we're working from home, and at a speed that we actually thought would never be possible. So we've moved from risk averse, change averse to actually a rapid change. And this speed has been obviously essential to enable these companies to keep trading. But what has happened as well is a whole new raft of compliance and security measures have come into place alongside it. So where are we moving to? Well, it's a hybrid world. We know we don't know what we don't know, but we kind of are pretty sure that it's going to be a world where there'll be back to office, back to business, and there'll be some remote workers as well. That Gartner study we talked about a couple of weeks ago, 82% of leaders are already planning how to include remote workers when we get back into the to the business place. So it's going to be a mixed work location, and that will be the norm. But what we do need is those trusted, secure platforms such as Teams. Without that backbone, without that security and that compliance and that assuredness, work isn't going to happen the way it needs to. That whole employee and customer relationship is dependent in this sector, and it's dependent on having that platform working and working the way they need it to do. So solutions such as Surface Hub, and we're going to hear from Yazin in just a couple of moments, where Surface Hub has already helping in this financial sector, already helping communicate with customers, already helping businesses at the edge. And we're going to share with you some real world examples on that. I just want to finally share some information from a guy called Jim Liddy, who KPMG, large financial organisation. He's head of the global financial services, and he talks about the priorities for the financial services sector. And his main thrust of a report that was recently released was that all financial services, they need to look at ways to accelerate their digital transformation and crucially cloud enablement. So to enable all workers to access securely content from wherever they are. So that productivity improvement and technology enablement. And I love the phrase of look to the new reality. There's lots of phrases, is what's the new normal, the next normal. But actually, I love this one basically just for what it means. We are facing a new reality. We don't know what that is yet, but we're absolutely facing that, and we need to be ready for that. And I'll just read something from here. He put, we know that COVID isn't a great catalyst. We don't want to be using COVID as, this is the reason for change. COVID has definitely not been we wouldn't want to do this again. That is for sure. It's not been great for a lot of people, but in this sector itself, he talks about how this is a catalyst for change and a catalyst for good. But it's a necessary change for the financial services, and he believes that the financial markets of the future will largely be shaped by those firms that can anticipate tomorrow but deliver the priorities of today. So that's good. So we're facing that new reality, and they're the ones that are turning this COVID-19 experience to their advantage, building capabilities into everything that they do. So really just wanted to use that as a way to position where we are, where we're looking at the financial services sector, and how important it is that we help them to enable communications remotely to wherever their workers are working. So let's switch gears. I've heard enough of me chatting away. Let's actually see some real life examples of Surface Hub working in the financial sector.
Hello and welcome to Hub in a Hybrid World. My name is Yasin Hayal. I'm a collaboration specialist at CollabTech, and we help people work better together. And welcome to Hub in a Hybrid World. This webinar will take a particular focus at the finance industry. So let's jump straight into it. Rule number one in finance, as many of you will no doubt be familiar with, is that time equals money. If you save time, it directly correlates to saving money or earning money in some cases. This was, of course, true pre-COVID, but it's become even more true in 2021, where social distancing and streamlining of operations has proven to be a challenge for many organizations around the world. Now, there are many factors to consider when saving time. There are having all the necessary stakeholders and decision makers in the same place. There is having all the resources together and getting everything ready to go, essentially, in a nutshell. Now, where does Surface Hub come into this? The Surface Hub acts as a central all-in-one platform for your collaboration needs, allowing you to have everything within arm's length of where you need to be. You're able to communicate, set up audio-visual communications, and collaborate seamlessly and easily using the Surface Hub. The finance industry is one of the largest sectors in our world today. It starts from many large corporations and trickles down to many small businesses, all of which share some similar challenges. Now, how does Surface Hub actually solve those challenges? The Surface Hub is about three things. It's about dissolving boundaries, it's about mobility, and it's about creating a digital workflow. It's about dissolving boundaries between the physical and the virtual world, allowing digital and analog content to interact together seamlessly, allowing you to superimpose writing over digital documents. It's about mobility because the Surface Hub has virtual mobility as well as physical. The steel stand allows it to be moved around, and the optional APC battery, in addition to that, also means that you won't lose power or connectivity when doing so, allowing you to continue working easily. The digital workflow of the Surface Hub is about giving you all the tools you need at your fingertips so that you can continue in your digital stride without having any interruptions. These three things together are the real staples of the Surface Hub. Ourselves at CollabTech are in a unique position where we only supply through the channel. This means that we've gone on thousands of deployments all around the world and across many different business sectors, in particular the finance sector. What we've done is collate all this information into a very short webinar where we've told you some of our favorite success stories from finance and how people in finance are using Surface Hub to change the way in which they are working. This is so that you can go to your customers in finance and tell them these stories of how Surface Hub has revolutionized the finance industry. So let's jump straight into some examples. Let's take a look at how Surface Hub is being used in finance. In one example, there is a financial advisor that we work with who works with real-time stock market changes. His job is to present investment opportunities back to his clients in a way that they can understand easily and seamlessly. Now, many of us are familiar with how Surface Hub is used in a planned environment. However, in an environment where hours, minutes, and seconds are very important, it is absolutely imperative that the Surface Hub is also used in an ad hoc way. This is exactly what this financial advisor would do. He'd come into his office in the morning and keep an ear to the financial ground, so to speak. He'd have to know exactly what's going on in the stock market and if there's any real changes going on. If he does notice something of interest, he would then use the Surface Hub to quickly initiate a two-way line of communication with his client by simply starting a Microsoft Teams call. The crisp audio-visual facilities of the Surface Hub means that this is always going to be clear depending on your bandwidth, of course. With the Surface Hub, you aren't just limited to audio-visual communications, you're also able to interact with the data that you have, allowing you to dissolve boundaries between analog and digital content, as we mentioned earlier. This client in particular would take a screen grab of what he was looking at on the stock market and import that to the whiteboard. This then allowed him to annotate directly onto the whiteboard with his client so that he can present and explain the investment opportunity easily and seamlessly. He was able to highlight real-time trends with absolute ease. This was also a two-way street because the client was also able to interact directly onto the document, enabling them to ask questions and make comments easily and simply. As you can see, this brought together the three elements of communication that many of us are familiar with, the audio, visual, and interactive element. And this is where the Surface Hub's real strength lies. It's the ability for all three of these things to interact easily and seamlessly. This allowed an excellent level of understanding between the client and the financial advisor, allowing them, facilitating quicker decision making and allowing them to strike while the iron is hot, so to speak. In this case, it actually resulted in direct monetary gain for both the client and the financial advisor because of the speed in which they were able to react. Let's take a look at another example. In this particular example, an insurance claims assessor used the Surface Hub to change the way in which they are working. The company he worked for ordinarily would have many different branches across many different locations, requiring the need for external visits very, very often. They used the Surface Hub to mitigate this by importing content and pictures from their clients and directly superimposing those onto the whiteboard. The dissolving of digital boundaries we spoke of is allowing digital content and analog annotations to interact together seamlessly, allowing them to appraise very quickly what they need to do on the Surface Hub. This also includes things like the site of road traffic accidents, and they're able to actually interview their clients and find out exactly what happened using the Surface Hub. The ease of use that the Surface Hub provides means that this can be done with minimal pain. Now, you won't just isolate it to content that's already on the Surface Hub. This particular insurance claims assessor also used Miracast to bring in content from his own device and allow that to interact with information on the Surface Hub. He would have content on his own Windows device that he would import into the Surface Hub and bring as part of the digital workflow, easily and seamlessly, by simply taking the screen clipping and pasting that onto the whiteboard. This allowed him to produce a high quality document and high quality insurance assessment claims without leaving the comfort of his house or his office, wherever he may be. Not only do you have the ability with the Surface Hub to use it for the planning stage, but also for the presenting stage, and that's exactly what this insurance auditor did. What he would do is use the OneDrive compatibility of the Surface Hub to open Microsoft PowerPoint files that he'd uploaded to his OneDrive. He would then start a slideshow where he would then present back to all of the different stakeholders as well as the clients the outcome of his insurance claims assessment. The beautiful map display means that you're able to easily see what's going on the screen, and the annotation ability of the Surface Hub means that if further explanation is needed, you can easily and quickly do so. Contributions provided by colleagues as well are able to be added to the plan very quickly and seamlessly. And the Surface Hub even allows you the chance to keep your annotations at the end of those things. These are some features that this particular insurance claims assessor found absolutely invaluable because of the contributions that people were giving to the workflow. Now, the nature of this business means that, of course, security is a massively important thing for them. The Surface Hub being a lockdown device means that when you end the session, you can simply walk away from the device and rest assured that all of your details and data will be wiped. If you are signed into PowerPoint or Word or any of the files, the single sign-ons means any changes you make will be saved into the cloud, so you don't have to worry about having anything deleted as well. In our final example, an auditing company we work with used the predecessor of the 85-inch Hub 2 seen here, the 84-inch Hub 1. This story in particular really highlighted the power of Hub to present complex data simply. This auditing company used the widescreen display of the 84-inch Hub 1 to examine financial reports, specifically following auditing standards and creating a conclusive assessment of a company's annual report. They used the conferencing facilities of the Hub to meet and collaborate with their colleagues. The widescreen matte display, as well as the HD camera and the crisp audio of the Hub, allowed this auditing company to continue working remotely without disruption. Collaboration whilst video conferencing was another feature they found useful. With the ability to continue your workflow and even multitask, this company benefited from the freedom that the 84-inch Hub gave them. When their workflow required them to examine complex financial records, they were able to use Miracast to wirelessly project from their own device and continue working with their own bespoke software on the Surface Hub, utilizing Inkback and Touchback. Utilizing Whiteboard, an application native to the Hub, they were able to easily and quickly import content and annotate over it. They were able to continue in their digital workflow, all the while making use of the 84-inch Hub's strength in multitasking. As you can see, there is minimal loss in the size of a window when multitasking, when compared to the 50-inch. One of the most useful features of the Hub for this company was the security of it. Having the ability to end the session and walk away, reassured with the knowledge that the Hub will wipe itself after every session, was invaluable. So to summarize, COVID-19 has presented many challenges for organizations, but equally so, it's also provided a lot of inspiration for innovation. The Surface Hub is about dissolving boundaries between the physical and the virtual world, about providing mobility and agility both in the physical and the virtual world as well, and allowing many to continue working in their digital stride by placing everything they need at their fingerprints. The lockdown nature and the security of the Surface Hub allows that you don't have to worry about your data leaking into other places, and many people in finance have most certainly benefited from it. So speak to your customers about the Surface Hub. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Yassine Hayo, Collaboration Specialist.
Thank you, Yassine. Awesome. And I do love the way that, you said that this is at your fingerprints instead of the fingertips. But we have pre-recorded these just because we had some challenges with internet bandwidth, obviously all working remotely. We couldn't afford for that to happen on the webinars. So thank you, Yassine. We're gonna actually switch up to questions. So I am going to not yet let Yassine off that easily. So we have got a couple of questions coming, Yassine, which I'm sure you can see as well. So just wanted to pick up a couple of points on what Yassine just talked about there. Dissolving physical boundaries. Super important we get that message across to our customers, because the hub and Teams working together and things like Microsoft Teams devices means that there's no boundaries now. The meeting space is not the boundary. We can absolutely reach out to colleagues and customers outside of our normal bricks and mortar. And the hub being so agile, so flexible, so portable, mobile, it can actually transcend even rooms now. And great news is 84-inch didn't fit in through doorways, but bizarrely even bigger 85-inch does. So we had lots of challenges in Hub 1, but now Hub 2, thanks to Microsoft, they've countered those challenges, and it even fits in elevators, as we know. And that piece around Teams ensures that we all stay into our digital workflow all day, so we can work in Teams, we can meet in Teams, and we can live on Teams. I think I should just trademark that. Actually, that was I like that. So again, let's move to questions. So we've got some great questions coming. Thank you very much for these, Yassine. Let me read the question out, and then I'm going to pop you on the screen. Can you explain the differences between Windows 10 Pro and Windows 10 Teams, please?
Thank you, Jane. That's a very good question, and that's one that we come across quite often. So Windows 10 Teams Edition is essentially a lockdown version that's specifically for the Surface Hub. That means that there's some extra security features on there. For example, you can walk away from the device and wipe itself as soon as you finish with the device, as well as the fact that you don't need to sign in to use the device. Anybody can walk up and use it. On the flip side of that, we have Windows 10 Professional and Enterprise, which are both now available on the Surface Hub, and they are the versions of Windows that most of you will be familiar with that you have on your device. So same as you would with your Surface Book or whatever you have, you can log into the device, you can save your own files locally. The Surface Hub actually has a fingerprint reader that you can use with it. Use the right word that time. A fingerprint reader that you can use to log in if you have Windows 10 Professional or Enterprise installed on there. So in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you, Yassine. You did use the right word, fingerprint reader, love it. And you notice my Surface Hub in the background here. I call it my hostage hub, because if ClubTech think this is going back to the office, no chance. This is not leaving my office now. This is just such an amazing collaboration and communication tool that I never want to lose this. Yassine, I'm just going to put you back on the spot again. Questions come in. Can Hub connect to installed microphones and speakers that are already in an environment?
Yeah, so the answer is it depends. So if there is any kind of drivers or anything like that that needs installing when you're using these devices, then the Surface Hub won't be compatible with the Surface Hub. However, if it's a team certified device and you don't need anything, don't need to install anything, then you can plug it and it will work straight away.
Clear. Thank you, Yassine. That's nice and clear. So again, there are many Teams certified devices that sit into a meeting space, audio and video. So Surface Hub can actually connect to repeat video, audio, and speakers and microphones. So just check that it's Teams certified, and or come to us, ask us. We're really happy to support you with that. Okay, Laura, I'm going to put you on the spot next. So for you, I have a question come in. I have a customer wanting to try Microsoft Service Hub for the first time for their meeting spaces. Can you help them, Laura?
Yes, we can. So if it's a Microsoft supported account, you can leverage ESIF funding for a proof of concept program. So that would be about 4 or 8 weeks on site with the end user.
Excellent, thank you. Love to hear that, and thank you for asking that question. It's a really good. We hear that a lot. We do support Microsoft with some of the POC ESIF programs that they run. So we do have a good amount of experience delivering that. And what we do find is once an organisation uses Hub, we deliver the adoption training, we handhold them through that proof of concept program for between 6 to 8 weeks. And that hand-holding throughout is essential to make sure that the Hub is adopted into the environment and it's used properly. So reach out to your local Microsoft representative, and hopefully we can be supporting you with some proof of concepts. So thank you everybody for your questions. I've got one final announcement to make, and this is a bit of a lastminute.com idea, but Laura and the team in Canada came up with the idea to give away some training, some adoption on, might be Teams, it might be Surface Hub, it might be Microsoft Teams rooms, and it's either for you or for your customers. So what we're prepared to do at CollabTech is anybody that responds directly to me or to Laura or to Janine with a request for that free training, CollabTech will deliver. It's virtual, I'm afraid. We're still under lockdown rules in some countries, but it will be virtual 2-hour training session, again for you as the reseller partner, or if you want to use it for your customer, you have yourself a free 2-hour training session there, and you can tell us what you need it for. So I really just want you to test out the services and see how that might work for you and your customers. So thank you so much for joining us, Laura. Thank you for hosting this. That's brilliant. And Yazine, thank you so much for your insights and knowledge there on Surface Hub. We've got one more webinar left in the series, and that's this time next week. Well, 36 minutes earlier than now, and that's going to be looking at public sector, specifically public sector organisations such as healthcare and local government. We know those year ends are coming up as well, so we know there's some spend to be had. So please reach out if you have any questions. It was great to have you with us today, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you.